there are some women that you will never be that guy to.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
No matter what you do, you will never be that guy. And
what would you say the core reason is? And I'm not talking about the surface level.
Right.
The real deep reason on why your marriage had to end.
I mean, first of all, I think what people need to also understand is that when a marriage ends, it doesn't end at the announcement. You know, it didn't end the day before the announcement. It ends years before that, or, you know, months before that, or however long, you know, people's individual journeys are. So by the time I announced, I mean, I'd gone through a lot of the processes of it. So it was actually quite a relief, because I felt like, you know, I was sneaking around and, you know, because I didn't want people to know. But in actual fact, it was done. And at the time of the announcement, it actually felt like a really big relief and a big weight off my shoulders of something that I'd been carrying for a while. But I think for me, it was a matter of, I personally, in my journey, I think I didn't understand myself. I didn't know what it was that I wanted. I grew up in a marriage with my mom and my dad. And
family's such a big thing for you.
Huge, massive. And I never imagined getting divorced. I always thought that I would raise my kids the same way that I was raised, like ride or die, do or die, you know, that's what I thought. But you go through life and you realize that when you start to step back and realize, was I mature enough to get married at that stage? Was it the right time for me? Did I know what I wanted? Was I secure enough in living life the way that I wanted to live before I could settle down? Is that settling down supposed to feel like a prison, or is it supposed to be an extension and a growth? And I just felt like for me, timing was off, but I didn't know myself. And then furthermore, I went on to further lose myself in my marriage. So it ending for me in a weird way, outside of the pain and all of that goes with it, was an opportunity for me to have a second chance at life.
Do you still today, in full hindsight, look at it as a failure?
I think the failure part is on my part, from not being able to pick up what was right for me at a time before I went all the way. And I failed myself. You know, in relationships, you always know, you know, when you look back, you're like, but that was a red flag, or that was a red flag, and that was well, you're a red flag. You know, there's so many, I'm not, you know, pushing the blame in any shape or form, but you know, you're either a red flag and you're not acknowledging it, or they're a red flag, or they have red flags and you're not acknowledging it. I just was not at a point where I was willing to trust myself and what I wanted. And ultimately, I think that's why my marriage ended.
So I don't believe in marriages ending as them being failures. I genuinely see them as they ran the course they were meant to.
Sure.
And obviously I have not been married, so I don't understand.
Don't do it. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm just kidding.
Listen, many people say this because I almost feel like something happens to your psyche when it is official that makes you behave and do things a certain way, especially because of how we were raised, the responsibility that is placed on the woman. So the failure usually is placed on the wife's part.
100%.
That you didn't do something.
Yeah.
You were for the streets. You didn't want to be, this one, she doesn't look like she can cook egg fried.
Right.
You know, so I think just from that perspective,
that's very sad.
It is, but I think things are shifting now that we're having more conversations, open conversations. So when you are ready, I feel like I should come and produce your 3-part special on the divorce.
Just on the divorce?
Yes.
Nah.
You know why? You know why? Because all the things you said just right now are the realest things you could say that I didn't know myself.
Right.
That's as real as it gets. You didn't sit here pointing fingers. You were like,
it was me. Yeah. I didn't know myself. I really, for me, it's one of those things where I look at the situation, and I'm so grateful for my son. He's the greatest blessing, and I'll always be grateful for my marriage because it gave me my son. But I'm excited to live my life moving forward in my truth. And I think that's another thing, just to segue back to the film, is that when you watch The Honeymoon, it's fun and it's lively, but that's one of the messages that comes through really beautifully, is live your truth and don't be afraid to, because we don't know how much time we have, you know, and it would be so disappointing to look back and not do the things that you wanted to do and not live the life that you wanted to live. You know, I felt like I had to reduce myself in so many ways, and I wasn't able to live the best version of myself. And I feel like a marriage should never be something that clips your wings, but should be something that allows you to grow a second pair.
Complements your life and enhances your growth.
Absolutely.
There are some women that you will never be that guy to.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
No matter what you do, you will never be that guy, and you'll try to force it, you'll try to make it work, but when you know and you've experienced a woman where you're that guy and she really admires you, you know what it feels like. And I think a lot of times for guys, especially because we might get caught up in a beauty component or whatever it is, we're trying to prove love that's not being reciprocated, right? And we're putting maximum effort, and then there's a guy on the other side who's putting minimum effort and getting maximum results.
Yes, for sure.
Right? Like, bro, you done took her out, you done flew with the Turks.
Good morning.
Bro,
The good morning.
all this, and there's a guy at 11:30 p.m.
Yeah.
What you doing?
Yep. You up?
Eyes. If men could really just realize that part, it would help them a lot, and they wouldn't gear towards relationships or women who aren't necessarily for them. And that's where I think the bitterness comes from men. Yeah. But in reality, it's like, bro, you should have seen the signs early. She wasn't reciprocating. She was calling you out your name.
Look how she talks to her family.
You can't feel bad, right? Because everybody's not for everybody. That's true. You have to learn and understand, like, okay, this is not it. Let me move on. Yeah. But some guys, they will stay in that situation trying to make it work. I would rather be the guy hitting up at 11 p.m. versus the guy trying to take on multiple dates, spending money, doing all these things, trying to impress her, and I'm getting nowhere and getting limited results.